And welcome agency reps. So good to see you all here on this afternoon. Thank you for registering to participate in our upcoming virtual job fair on April the 6th. This is our second year that we will be hosting a virtual job fair. We hope our first timers and those participating annually find our fair to be a rewarding experience. Our upcoming graduates are eager to meet with you. We are optimistic that next year the fair will resume in person. Fingers crossed. But we will keep you informed regarding that. Please mark your calendars. The annual job fair is held on the first Wednesday in April. So next year's fair will be held on April the 5th, 2023. If there are personnel changes with the recruiters or reps that are currently participating with your agency, please notify me so I may update my database to include the change. The agency profile booklet or the list of agencies that will be participating in our job fair will be sent to you next week. Excuse me. And that booklet will be sent to the individuals that registered for the fair. And along with that booklet, we will include the steps that I am covering today for everyone. At the conclusion of this presentation, we will have a Q&A session to answer any questions you may have. So please jot down your questions. And when the time comes, please use your virtual hand and Dean Taylor will acknowledge you. If we are unable to answer all of your questions with the allotted time, feel free to email us at Student Services and we will provide that email to you at the end of this presentation. So before we begin reviewing the process, Dean Taylor is going to share 2 polls with you on the screen and please respond.
I have to share, I'm always thrilled whenever I see technology working. So we'll share the poll response for you, but I can say that it's always helpful to have these real-time polls. So thank you for responding. We're going to give it a few more seconds. 82% has answered the question so far. Okay, so right now, Ms. Washington, I have an 88% participation, and we see that 47% has answered yes, and 53% has answered no.
Thank you, Dean Taylor. You can proceed with the next poll.
Super, I'm going to end this poll. And the next poll. So we're asking, does your agency hire conditionally until social work licenses is obtained? So. And we are at 88% participating, now at 91. We say 62% says yes, and 39% says no. So thank you all for that. I really appreciate that information.
Thank you, Dean Taylor, for the polls, and thank you all for participating. I will now go through the steps, and I will go rather quickly to allow more time for you for the Q&A at the very end. But the information that I am speaking to you about as far as steps for students to apply with the agencies, that information will be sent to you in the email along with the agency profile booklet. So here we go, guys. The virtual job fair will be held on Wednesday, April the 6th from 10 to 3. The fair is only for social work job openings. Some of the agencies have included additional jobs in their agency descriptions, and I just want to make sure that everyone is aware that this fair is strictly just for social work job openings. The fair is also open to our upcoming graduates, those that will be graduating in May and July. So none of our students will have their license. I also noticed that some of you included in your descriptions or in your job postings that the license, the Maryland license, the UMSSW is required. So our May graduates will complete the program at the end of May, around roughly May 14th, and the July graduates will finish the program at the end of July. However, they are eligible to apply for the license once they are in their final semester. So some of our students have already set for the exam, have their license already, but it's really not confirmed until they actually get their MSW. And then some are planning to sit for their license after they graduate. So I just wanted to let you all know that. And we hope, I know I saw the poll that only 62% of you said yes and 39% said no, but we do hope that you would be flexible with our upcoming graduates that may be applying with your agency. They are expecting you to conduct a preliminary interview with them on April the 6th. 97 agencies will be participating. And just to let you know, our students will be on spring break next week, but we have encouraged all of them to apply early. So you should be getting some applications in starting next week. The majority of the agencies included indicated a contact person email, which is what we requested for questions. Some of you, however, included HR, info, admin, recruiting, jobs at. We just want to make sure that you all check your emails and please monitor the other email addresses that I just mentioned because students are expecting a timely response from you guys. And we only have like a 2-week time span starting on Monday before the job fair will actually take place. This is key because we have advised our students to reach out to you directly with any questions that you may have. The second point I want to make is that we need you to make sure that the link that you provided, now I just want to say beforehand, the booklet is final, the booklet is complete. And at this point, we are not able to make any additional changes, but I just wanted to point this out to everyone on the call. The link that you provided to us, it should have included your agency or your website, a review of your website if you don't have your website, the application on how students can apply, and any current job positions that you have available. And I'm going to have Dean Taylor show you an example of one of the agencies and what it should have somewhat looked like. It doesn't have to be specifically like this, but this is just an example. It's not showing on my screen yet, Dean Taylor.
I'm so sorry, Ms. Washington, it froze. Let me try that again.
If you make me co-host, I can share I can share it. Yes. I have it, Dean Taylor.
Okay,
Thank
super.
you.
Let's see if yours freezes. Technology, okay. There we go, plan B.
Okay. Thank you. So as you can see on the screen, this agency is GBMC. They created a link specifically for our fair. It says Social Work Job Fair. It says, welcome all School of Social Work students. And I will just scroll down to the bottom and you will see down here, there is a button where they can apply. So this is just an example of one agency. And this is what we encourage all agencies to do in the first email that we sent out to you all. So that's just an example. Thank you. We also suggest the following for the morning of the fair. As you can see with technology, Dean Taylor was unable to pull up the example of the link that I was just sharing with you. So we suggest the following: that you check your Wi-Fi connection, that you set up your meeting environment, and that you test your equipment and log on at least 15 minutes beforehand. We will not be able to provide any type of technical support on the day of the fair. Also, you indicated on your registration form the different platforms that you will use to conduct your interviews, such as Zoom or WebEx or Google Meets. We will not provide the link to the students for that. When the students email you that they're interested in applying for a position with you, you will email them and schedule that time and give them their time slot for the day of the fair for the interview. And I will go into that a little further down below. Now, before I go through the steps to apply for the job fair, I'm going to have Dean Taylor, we're going to try this again. And we're going to see if Dean Taylor is able to share the agency profile booklet from last year. Thank you, Dean Taylor. It worked. So this is the booklet that you will receive next week. And all of the agencies will be listed. And the main thing that our students will be paying attention to is this area right here where it says agency contact information, which is the information that you have provided to us for the booklet, and also how to apply. Some of you have included your websites. Some have included the link that we just shared with you, which is specifically tailored to the job fair. Some of you have even indicated email addresses. So we just wanted to point this out to show you just what the booklet will look like and what the students will receive about your agency. So whatever information you provided to us on the registration form, that is exactly what will be included in the booklet. Thank you, Dean Taylor, for sharing. And now I will review the steps for you to for students to actually apply online, and what your role will be in responding to our students. So the first step is students are encouraged to apply online 1 to 2 weeks in advance prior to the fair, using the link that you have already provided, which is in the booklet that we just shared with you. Step 2, agency reps and HR recruiters must respond to students via email to confirm receipt of their application. We have instructed our students to contact you via email if they do not hear from you within 24 to 48 hours. Step 3, the agency reps or the hiring managers will email the students in advance that they are interested in interviewing the day of the fair, as I just stated, with the Zoom link, the WebEx link, and the interview time that you have scheduled for them for the day of the fair. And then finally, we're here. We're at the day of the fair, April 6th from 10 to 3. And step 5 that you'll receive is we just want you to have a wonderful day. A lot of you, it seemed like the poll was split half and half. Most of you have participated in our fairs before. And so because you have participated, I'm sure you have enjoyed our fairs, probably more so in person than virtual. But we thank you for participating virtually. Like I said earlier, this is our second year doing this. And as you can see, we didn't have a platform to really conduct the job fair. So that is why the onus is really on the agencies to decide which way you want to conduct your interviews with the students. And you have already provided us with all of that information. And just keep in mind the information that you provided to us, that is the information that the students will receive. So if there's been any changes with your agency, the students won't receive it. So if that has happened, we would like to know that so that our students are not reaching out to agencies or individuals that you have included. Those individuals are no longer with your agency, or they won't be available the day of the fair. And finally, a survey will be sent on April the 8th. We're asking all of the agencies that are participating to please complete the survey to provide us with feedback for future fairs. And I have one additional comment that I'm going to make regarding job postings, and then the floor is going to be open to all of you for all of your questions. We now have a new website where you can post your social work job openings, and you can also subscribe if you are interested. The link will be included in the email that I will send to you next week, along with the agency profile booklet. I think some of you have already tapped into that, but I just wanted to plug that we do have a new website for all of your social work job openings only. And that concludes my presentation. I know I went through it rather quickly, but the steps will be included in the email that will be sent to you next week. And now we're just going to allow this time for you to ask us any questions you would like. So if you can do it by using your virtual hand, Dean Taylor will call on you and I will answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Washington. And I just want to make sure for those who don't know how to use the virtual hand, if you wave, I will do my best, but my eye tends to go to that virtual hand first. And for those of you who aren't on camera, clearly I can't see you, but if you put a question in the chat, no, it might take me a second, but I will get to that question. So I see Caitlin Farah, and Caitlin, forgive me if I pronounced your last name incorrectly. I see your hand up.
Yeah, that's no problem. I just wanted to clarify for Ms. Washington, I had sent you an email, just wanted to make sure you're the right person to send to about adding someone as a contact, just because I am going to be going on maternity leave and it could be before the fair. So just wanted to make sure that she was added.
Yes, I did receive your email and I will respond to you, Caitlin, later today.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And this is where we really have shared with our students, as all social workers, we joke about this, but communication is the key. If they have a question, because your emails and phone numbers were included, we have told them absolutely reach out, ask those questions, call. Now, I will share that a few phone numbers, when I tried to call them, either people had their voicemail that they were on vacation, or we saw some emails that have said, you know, they're out of office. If you could just check your out of office responses, because I'm sure we'll get emails from our students saying, oh, they're out of, you know, they're on holiday. What should we do next? Just please make sure you have that updated. We appreciate that.
Well, we have a large bunch, but we don't have anyone with questions. Wow.
And I think it's Marna Brookman. Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing that, Miss Marna.
That was perfect. Thank you so much. I just want to clarify, we don't have to do anything until we hear from a student first, and then we make the appointment with them to see them at the day of the fair, correct?
Absolutely, correct.
Perfect. That was very clear, well presented. Thank you, guys. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And the reason why that day of the fair is for the job fair, excuse me, is because our students are in field or class and they actually get an excused absence. So that's why that's really important. And that's why we always do it the first Wednesday of the month, just to give you some historical background.
And also just to let you know, we did try to move things up this year a little closer so the students would have more time. However, with them being on spring break, it's kind of like impossible, but we really did try to move the process up. For those of you that have participated for years with our job fair, you probably noticed that.
Archie, and then Carrie Miller.
Hello. So I just had a quick question. I know it was mentioned that moving forward, you guys are planning on having this be on site again or in person. Will there still be a bit of flexibility or the opportunity for virtual or remote job fair times and interview times?
Well, we really only went to the virtual platform due to COVID. We've never had a virtual platform before, but that is something that we probably will be exploring. I will say to those of you that have never participated in person, there is a fee to participate. So due to the last 2 years of us being virtually, we have not charged a fee for the job fair, but if we do move back to in person next year, there will be a fee for the job fair. So just to let you know.
Thank you, Ms. Washington. Carrie Miller, and then Adrian.
Hello. So I just want to kind of confirm though, as we're doing these preliminary interviews, let's say that we do kind of have interest in them, but we would like to do a more second interview just to make sure, because we have different states in my facility. So we want to make sure the regulations match up, and some of those we can give a weight on their licensure and some that we can't. So is that possible that once we get in contact with them on the job fair, after that, they're kind of in our loop with our company?
Yes, absolutely. If you
Our
feel as
agency after
though,
that, or do we still have to go through that?
I'm sorry, you broke up there for a minute. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's Zoom. So I just want to make sure after we do the preliminary interviews, and let's say we're interested, but we need to do more of our procedure in our company, is that do we have to go through you guys to contact them, or they're good for us to keep contacting them to set up those second interviews, or et cetera, et cetera?
Yes, you will be communicating directly with the students. And
Thank
you
you so
can
much.
conduct, if you like to, if you feel like the preliminary interview wasn't enough or sufficient, and you feel like you need to do a second interview with them, feel free.
Perfect. Thank you.
And I just want to reiterate that the reason why we're talking about this being interview dates is, we want to make sure that folks aren't just saying, oh, we're just doing informational interviews and our students interviewing with folks that really weren't planning to hire. We don't want that to happen. We have shared with students that these are interviews. After that, it goes through your agency's process. So that's why we were just being very clear about that.
Yes, and just to let you all know, especially the first timers, we've had some agencies and some, I'm sure, are on this call today that can attest to our outstanding exemplary students that we have that have hired them the day of the job fair. So just to throw that out there to our first timers, we have some exceptional students.
Adriana, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly or not, so forgive me.
Oh, that's okay. It's Adrian. I just had a quick question. I know you said the booklets are locked. I was just curious, other than, I guess, that page that you showed of what we'll get, I guess you said the day of the job fair. I was curious if there's a way to preview what we submitted so we can see what ours looks like. No.
The reason why it's done, we're going to be sending it to our students first, and then we will send it to the job fair, but we're not making any changes at this point. And I'm so sorry, Ms. Washington, I jumped in there. Forgive me.
You are perfectly fine, Dean Taylor. Adrian, can you repeat your question? Were you asking like the agency description that you submitted? Is that what you were?
Yeah, I guess I just wanted to see what it looked like, what it looked like after we submitted it and you guys created that, I guess. I was just curious.
Well, we took everything, whatever you included on the registration form, that information. Thank you, Dean Taylor, for sharing. So where it says agency description, I'm not sure if that's specifically what you were referring to, but whatever you included on your registration form, all of that information has been populated in this booklet for each agency. Does that make sense? Is that clear?
Yeah, I guess I'm just thinking maybe it was the same form. I remember filling out one template that had a lot of questions specific about the agency. And then I remember including like how would they schedule, and I'm guessing it must be the all in one. Maybe it was like a page 2 of that form.
So the first form that everyone received was an interest form. We gathered information from agencies because we were trying to figure out who was hiring, who wasn't hiring. So that was the first form that we sent out to you. And then if you filled out the interest form, then you received another email from us for you to actually register for the job fair. But the link, as far as what your agency will do for the day of the fair, we will not provide a link to the students. Each agency has set up their own process of how that day will look like on the job fair. As I indicated before, a lot of the agencies on the call has indicated that they would actually use Zoom as their platform to conduct their preliminary interviews. Some said WebEx, some said Google Meets, et cetera, et cetera.
So I'm going to go next, and this is a mixture, I think, of first names and last names. So I'm going to spell it MEHRNOUSH, and then after that, Cherise. Okay. Ms. Cherise, we're just going to skip to you and we'll go back.
Okay, thank you very much. So I understand that there's going to be no changes to your to the profile booklet at this time. And I was curious, like Adrian, as to how all the information I provided turned out in the booklet and also for the one pager. If time permits, is it possible just to scroll down just so that I could glance at mine?
Okay, so you mentioned something about a one pager. We don't have a one pager. I'm not sure where that came from. And as far as the agency profile booklet, It literally has everything. We have not changed anything unless you indicated a list of jobs and benefits and things of that nature. That information may have been removed because we told you to limit your text to 300 words. So if you included a lot of information about multiple jobs and all the benefits, that information may have been deleted from the agency profile booklet, but your description of what you provided to us for the booklet is exactly what we have placed in the agency profile booklet. We have not changed anything from what you sent. So if you go back and look at the information that you provided to us, that is exactly what was included in the booklet, and that booklet will be sent out to everyone next week.
Okay, Greg, and I think the one pager was the first example you shared, but I think they just did something different with their organization.
Well, that was just an example. That will not be included in the agency profile booklet. Some of the other agencies may have followed the instructions as well and created a link specifically tailored to the job fair. I just use that one as an example, but that will not be included in the agency profile booklet.
Understood. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Washington.
No problem.
And the reason we had to close the booklet, we sent out emails to 1,000 people, and then we got approximately 115 responses. I'm saying this with love. If we had to change every time somebody would say, oh, I want to change this, I want to change that, y'all would never see a booklet. And so at some point we had to call it. That's why Ms. Washington has been very descriptive in her emails and given lots of opportunities to follow up. This booklet takes a lot of time. As you can tell, there's 2 of us in our office. We work well together, but we joke about it. At some point we have to say no, otherwise we would be going to the very 9th hour. And we want to get this to our students so that they can get to you. That's the most important thing. And I heard somebody pronounce, is it Merush? Arush? I'm so horrible with names. Okay.
No, it's okay. Listen, it's not an easy name. Don't worry about it. It's pronounced Marnouche. I'm sorry. I don't know if you called me earlier. My phone's being a little wonky, and unfortunately, I had to take this meeting while in the car. So
no worries, no worries.
But I did want to ask, I'm completely understand you all not wanting to wait till 9th hour, but in this pamphlet, if I'm not mistaken, it includes contact information, including phone numbers, and our office number has actually changed. I was wondering, is that something that can be updated or no? I know it's painful, but it literally, it's painful for us too, if that makes you feel any better.
As long as you can email us with the correction. But as long as your contact information as far as email, because I'm sure students are going to be contacting you via email, you probably may not get calls. I don't think a lot of students will call unless they do not hear from you. Then they may actually pick up the phone and call the agency. But at this point, it is very, very late. Also, as Dean Taylor indicated, students have to have an opportunity to review the booklet cover to cover to decide on which agencies that they would like to interview with. So that is why we have to have a period of time where we have to cut off any type of additions or changes to the booklet.
And just to point out one thing, we also have the website, right? So we'll share that with you. I'll put it back in the chat. But if you want to post jobs, this isn't a one and done, right? There's lots of opportunities to post things. So Michael Allen and then LCD.
Yes, good afternoon. I just wanted to just share a statement to the group. I just did a search in my email under registration, and all of the information that I submitted, that we all submitted to be a part of this will come up, so you can access it by doing that. So I just wanted to share that to the group.
Thank you, Michael, for sharing that. That is awesome. Appreciate you.
And is it Elise or Elsie?
Oh, Elise, you got it. Yeah. Yeah. So this is the first time that I'm involved in this virtually. When we're setting up like Zoom calls or Calendly invites, what is, I would say, like the average time frame that people set aside to meet with students? Is it like 10 minutes or 20 minutes? What's usually the average?
So it really varies, I would think, from agency to agency and depending on the student and how they want to conduct their preliminary interviews. As I indicated before, some agencies have actually hired students the day of. So they may go into a little bit more in depth with the interview if they're planning to make an offer right there on the spot. But it's really entirely up to you. You have from 10 o'clock to 3 o'clock to schedule these interviews. So I would say probably no more than 15 to 30 minutes. That may be a little long for some. It may not be long enough for others, but it's really at your discretion. So the link that Dean Taylor just put in the chat is the link to post any social work jobs. That is the new site that I was speaking about at the end of my presentation. And that link will also be included in the email that will be sent to you next week for you to post any type of jobs, any type of social work job openings. Do we have any other questions or comments?
Just to share, if you have any general questions, we have student services. That is the preferred email that you email us, because that goes both to Miss Washington and myself. You know, I joke about it. If I win the lottery, I don't know if I'm going to be looking at my email, but if it goes to student services, Miss Washington may be, you know, looking at the email on her way to the airport to catch the flight that we're going to have at the Caribbean. But also, this just makes it so that we're constantly moving together. As you can see, Ms. Washington and I work very closely together. There's only 2 of us in OSS, and we oversee all student needs, all student events, Student Government Association. Not only are we doing job fair this year, but we have back in person our convocation, our graduation. So for those of you who are kind of keeping up with the universities, you know, we're slowly going back in person. So that means for us, you know, we're excited and thrilled, but there's just a few more extra steps now that we're doing. So like I said, if you want to get a hold of both of us quickly, student services is the email to send, or you could send it to Miss Washington or myself.
Thank you, Dean Taylor. And I would just like to reiterate, we definitely need your feedback. If there are things that you think that we can do differently to improve, hopefully, like I said, fingers crossed, this will be our last, and I don't even want to say last, because you know what? We're in the technology era. We may be moving totally away from having an in-person job fair to moving to just a full-time virtual job fair, maybe with a virtual platform. I'm not sure where that will go for next year, but just please, once we send out the survey, please provide us with feedback as to your experience with the interviews with our students, so that we can pass this information on and improve our fairs in the future.
Well, I don't want to keep anybody extra. I mean, oh my stars, we found an extra 20 minutes in the day. Who knew? But if there are no other questions, Miss Washington and I will hang around till 12:45, Miss Washington. Is that
Sure.
okay?
Sure.
And we are so excited. We have an amazing talent pool here at the School of Social Work. Our students are eager, they're hungry to be the social justice warriors that we have trained them to be. You know, I'm proud of them, proud as punch. So on that, we will close this workshop. I will cut off the recording. And for those who want to just keep some extra, you know, time for yourselves, or if you have some questions, we'll stay on. So sending you lots of good strength, lots of energy, and good karma.
Thank you all so much for participating in this.